So let's talk about the intervals. There's 12 notes beginning from 0. And what are the intervals? So the intervals is the difference between one note and another. Whenever you have two notes at the same time, you have an interval. Whenever you have 3 or more notes, that's when you start having chords. But most chords, well, they're just collection of pairs of notes, so they're all about the intervals that they have. So the first interval is between a note and itself. That's just what we call the unison. Another interval is between a note and itself, but on a higher pitch, which is when we take 12 semitones. And so that's what we call the octave. This is basically the same. If you build chords by using unisons and octaves, that's just going to sound like you're playing one note. So for example, if I have like C3 and C4, and I play them together, that's not sounding like a chord, that's sounding like a different instrument in some ways. So the next note that is going to be interesting is going to be our fifth, which is number 7. Remember, our fifth was the 7th element in this sequence, right? And so this is what we will call our perfect fifth. And the perfect fifth is going to have a very neutral sound. And one thing you will have noticed is that we can go up a perfect fifth, and that's a very nice way to do things, but we can also go down a perfect fifth. And that's what we call the fourth. And the fourth, just like the fifth, is going to have a very neutral sound. Let's just play. So since I've been using numbers, I will now start using these one over here. And so what is this code doing? It's just taking a note, adding 0, and then using the chromatic scale, and then sounding the piano, and then showing the pitch wheel. What is the chromatic scale? So the chromatic scale is just all of the notes, notes in the equal 12-tone equal temperament. So that's all of the semitones. And so what it's doing here is that instead of writing, I want the, like C3 is something like 60 in MIDI notation. I don't want to have to write 60. I want to write 0. So I'm saying use a scale which is chromatic, whose root is C3. And now C3 is going to be 0 in this scale. And what is the following note? Then that would be like C sharp 3. That would be 1, for example. And so I can write this one, and that will be that. What does adding do? It just adds a number to the previous one. We won't be using it. We'll just be adding 0 for now. So this is C3. And the pitch wheel is going to show us very nicely here. So for example, I can play from 0 to 7, that's the fifth. It's a very nice sound, but it's also a very neutral sound. We don't associate it with like happiness or sadness as we will do with other sounds. And the similar is the fourth. Okay, so that's what the fifth one sounds, that's what the fourth one sounds. We didn't do the unison, that's like bong, 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 bong. And the 12th would sound like this. As you can see, our pitch wheel is telling us we're just playing the same note at different heights, but for our purposes it's going to be the same note. Okay. And the chromatic scale is like all the numbers from 0 all the way up to 11. So these are the notes we are working with. We could have more notes. We could have like 53 notes equal temperament. and split the octave into 53 parts. But most of Western music uses a 12th tone equal temperament, though there are other musical traditions that use a different bass. Okay, so let's go back to the intervals. So these are our neutral ones. What about 6? Well, no, let's talk 6 about that last. The next most important intervals are going to be the third intervals, and that's going to be the major third, which is number 4, and the minor third, which is number 3. And so both of these are what we call the thirds. I will explain where this notation comes in a little bit. And both of these, they add emotion. They're some of the nicest kinds of intervals in terms of like adding flavor to our music. So our chords, the major chords, the minor chords, these are going to be the key ingredients to building our favorite chords. And closing very closely to the minor third and fourth, the minor and major thirds, are going to be the minor and major sevenths. Let's hear how they sound like. So let's say we have 0 and then we have 3. This is going to be our minor sound. However, if we have a happier sound, it's going to be something like this. And the reason why the major sevenths and, that shouldn't be major major, that should be minor major. So essentially, the minor seventh is the minor third of the fifth. So 7 plus 3 is equal to 10. And the major seventh is the major third of the fifth. So 4 plus 7 is 11. And since the fifth and the unison are very closely related, these notes will be closely related. And in fact, the fifth of the minor third is going to be the minor seventh, and the fifth of the major third is going to be major seventh. So these are going to be very closely related. What about the rest of the notes? So here we have what I like to call the tone and the semitone. So the tone is when we say, the semitone is our basis, but for some reason the semitone is called semi, and so the tone is like twice the semitone, and the semitone is half of the tone. These have other names, which is like the major second and minor second, and these ones are essentially kind of like stepwise motion. They're very close to the unison, so playing them together can sound sometimes jarring. So this is 0 and 1 played together, and that sounds very jarring, right? But the same notes, if we push them an octave up, can sound actually quite nice. So that's 0 and 13. 13 and 1 are very close, are pretty much the same. And it still sounds kind of weird in this case. So yeah, but in some cases it can sound more open. So for example, the major seventh is basically a semitone below the unison, and that usually sounds quite nice. So that would be 11. And if we add like a, how's it called, fifth, that sounds quite nice. Okay, let's fill in the gaps. These, I assume that you understand that between the fifth and the seventh should be the sixths. And they also have a major and a minor variations. And the thing about these ones is that they usually work in inversions. I'll explain that in a bit. In which case, they kind of reflavor your unison into being a minor or a major third. Because they are precisely the major six is a minor third down from the octave, and the minor six is a major third down from the octave. And finally, we have the tritone, which, as we know, that's like the square root of 2. That's sounds evil and bad, and we don't use it. And it's like the devil's note, and so on. It is the key to like a lot of different music, and in a way, it's like a lot of spice, similar to the spice that the semitone can bring. And so, yeah, these are the intervals. And yeah,